The Court of Public Opinion is a part of the Amateur Radio Network. If you would like to become a member of the Court of Public Opinion, please sign up and sign in to our chat wing and join the conversation. We would like to hear your feedback. If you would like to email us at mossyrosefield@gmail.com and like us at Facebook.
Distraction for an hour or two. Had no intention to do the things we've done. Funny how it always goes with love. When you don't look, you find. But then we're two of a kind. We move as one. We're an all-time high. We'll change all that's gone before, doing so much more than falling in love. On an all-time high, we'll take all the world and wait. So hold on tight, let the flight begin. I don't want to waste a waking moment. I don't want to sleep. I'm in so strong and so deep, and so are you. In my time I've said these words before, but now I realize my heart was telling me lies. For you they're true. We're an all-time high. We'll change all that's gone before, doing so much more than falling in love. On an all-time high, we'll take on the world and win. So hold on tight, let the flight begin. So hold on tight, let the flight begin. We're an all-time
You're listening to the Court of Public Opinion. You heard the story about surviving sexual abuse, physical abuse, stories like that. There'll probably be a lot more airtime for this. I want to tell you how important recovery is. Please do not be ignorant about the facts on child abuse. Don't pretend that somebody, because of who they are, if they're entitled, they have like stature in the community, that they're not eliminated from that. It can happen anywhere at any time. It can happen at all ages. We heard another case where a little girl was in the women's shelter and a little boy sexually molested her in the shelter, and he was 10, she was 5, and he raped her. So it happens on both ends. It could be men and women. There was another story. I was working in a restaurant with a man who was in a homosexual relationship and was beat to a pulp. So again, can happen to any gender as well. I think it's scary, the statistics about child abuse. I also can't stand physical abuse. I can't stand watching somebody stand right in front of us and not acknowledge it or not acknowledge us, okay? So finally, we can talk about it. We can talk about recovery. We can talk about how the church has done incredible things. And I'm talking about one church in particular, like just getting new sheets, not neglecting us, not allowing us to go out in public and not wear proper clothes, you know, because one of the things is our clothes, our property was stolen. I had my my uncle chased me down as he's stealing my family's property, and we were without everything, clothes, food, anything you could think of. We didn't have a lick of it. They've taken all that from my own family. I watched my dad cry as he had to give up his parental rights because of what was stolen from my family. And I cannot applaud relatives that didn't step in. There were many times I know my dad said, we need a house, we need help, while they're stealing my dad's property. So I don't pat anybody on the back. I do thank God that there was a church or two and a few more that are still helping us pick up the pieces of our broken life, the broken pieces. And I sat there and I endured enough when I watched my sister's ex-boyfriend assault my sister after my nephew was paralyzed in a car accident. Yes, I'm calling him out. Somebody has to call these people out. It's outrageous that man, there were many times that the police were called and they did not arrest him. In fact, they arrested my sister. That is crazy. The craziness of abuse is incredible. So when I think about how my sister, we told her over and over again, you cannot be alone with this man. He raped my sister. She got pregnant and she kept her baby, by the way. Thank God. Thank God that somebody was reasonable enough to work with her. I'm sick of watching abuse. I'm sick that man has a job and that no one arrested him sooner. I'm sickened that my sister endured one day where he grabbed her hair and dragged her through the floor and neighbors are calling. I'm outraged that the ignorance is probably the worst part of it, that the lack of compassion. But luckily there was a neighbor that made that phone call. I was in Missouri at the time coming out of surgery when I heard that my sister was dragged by her hair and dragged across the floor. She was being abused every day. And everybody's screaming, get out, get away from him. So when it comes to money, somebody said, well, you better be careful about sending her money because she might not do the right thing. Hey, it's not my responsibility what she does with the money. I want her as far away from this man as possible. And if it's the difference of taking her kids out to dinner or buying clothes or going out on a date just to have a normal day for once in a while, then so be it. That's why we give money. That's why we hand 50, 100, 300, paying rent. That's when you guys help us. That's where some of our money is going. It's a difference of groceries and gas in that car to get that victim out of that abuse and get them as far away. They might not even have clothes on their back, but at least they have a ticket out. And I cannot sit here and be comfortable with people that are worried about their pocketbook when it push comes to shove. It's the difference of gas. It's a difference of going and buying clothes. Going to your son or daughter's choral concert or dance recital. That abused mother deserves a chance. That woman deserves a chance. Some of those people said to me, I didn't deserve anything, that I deserve to be abused. I'm going to tell you right now, any man that after all what we've been through laid a hand on me, to me, doesn't deserve title or even a pat on the back. And believe me, there are people patting these people on the back. Okay? They don't want to look at the real problem. It would be easier to blame the victim. I promise you that. It's a lot easier for my neighbor or anyone around me to blame it on us. We're barely surviving. So when you guys give to us, you're helping us get money into the pocket of a woman that might need gas. And I've done it. I've been to the shelters. I've treated them for medical conditions. They could not get seen in the emergency room. They don't have anything. They don't have anything. They don't have groceries. They don't have anything. Is just donations. So when we get donations, thank you. Thank you. We'll take the donations. I've donated plenty, and there's much more to donate. So I thank God for those churches that were there for us and reached out to us. Thank God. I just can't believe that we live in a world where people are so consumed with themselves and they don't want to acknowledge the victims at all. It would make them look bad. They're more concerned if you didn't dress up for church. That's not the whole point. The whole point of going to church is you come as you are. Some of these people, I mean, you should have seen the scars and the bruises I had all over my body. Do you think that stopped any of these churches from helping us? No. In fact, some of the churches did step up. There were a few other churches that didn't do a thing. They gave us like a small bag of canned goods. I'm not knocking it, but you know what? These churches have enough money to do a lot of things like, when it comes to giving, you give because you can, because you want to, not because you have to. If these churches feel like they have to do something to help somebody, then they're not doing it for the right reasons. And there are churches that do help. And I thank God for every one of you who reached out to my family when we needed it the most, because we could have lost a few family members because of domestic violence alone. And yes, murder, homicide. That was a reality. I woke up every night wondering if that person was going to be in a morgue. And we asked for people to open up their home. They would not open their home. They didn't want to be involved. They didn't want to look bad. They didn't want to lose their job or respect from others. Believe you me, I lost all respect for them when they were concerned about their careers and their status. I cannot be around this at all. I know that some people, they handle domestic violence and abuse differently, but when it comes to child abuse and neglect, and that man, Rory, he should have been in jail. He left my nephews out in the cold in sub-zero weather purposely. This is the kind of cruel, crazy crap that we have lived with and dealt with. And I promise you, that guy should have been in jail 10 times for the things he's done. And he continues to do it. And the police officer's like, well, we don't want anything to do with that. And that's over there in Millville, okay, where he has a house and he's comfortable with that. And I'm not surprised that the police don't say anything. I'm surprised that I would be shocked why they wouldn't arrested him and not the victim. That is a reality. This is what happens in Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. The victim's the reason that the abuse happened. The victim or anyone that talks against abuse. There are police departments in the United States throughout our area and here locally that would rather blame the victim. That is the reality that you have to confront. It would be a lot easier to arrest the victim. I sat there and watched police officers. They were just congratulating some of these people like, you've been through so much. That's not what this is about. Okay, when a police officer can't arrest somebody, why? When there's a girl that's her hair is ripped out, you have several reports of abuse, yet you did not arrest the abuser, the offender. That is the reality. That is the reality. That man, Rory, should have been in jail 20 different times. He should not have rights. They have given him more time in the courtroom than he deserved. It's outrageous. It's outrageous that people pretend like this didn't happen, or that the man I lived with perpetrated abuse on a regular basis. Starving me was nothing to him. He had to look good. Okay, you understand? They have to look good in front of everybody. It's about them. It's not about the abuse. It's not about the abuse victim. It's about whether they look good. Oh, they look good. They're wearing the best clothes ever. And then I heard the story about Officer Basham, who'd been to that house several different times, and he ended up dead, and so did the victim. So when we went to Pennsylvania, congressmen and women, we're telling you on a regular basis, this still continues today. The abuse is still going on today. So I could do court of public opinion, report after report. It's going on right now in front of us, right here in our home, in our neighborhood. Yeah, they'll starve you. Yeah, they will not give you. They told me why don't you get more welfare benefits? Why isn't welfare helping you? That's incredible. Meaning that they're not going to help you with money to get you gas, to get out of here. I met a lot of very generous people that never ever said those things. They never even thought those words. They're like, oh yeah, no problem, I'll help you, whatever. I believe that's the kind of person I am. I don't ask people where they're going to spend their money. I give it to them because I have to, because I know that there would be a reason why somebody's asking. I'd be concerned that they'd have to steal to survive. I want you to ask me. If we have money, we're going to give it to you with no questions asked. If you're going through abuse and you can report, you can show me that if we have the access or way to give you money, we will help you with no questions asked. If you can show me, a PFA or a report or something, I will help you. I can't just give out money because I don't have it right now. So when I ask people, let's fundraise, let's raise some money so we can get money to the victims that need gas or they need to get groceries or just take their kids out. Or that young single woman that has nowhere to live and they're going to end up homeless. Chronic abuse, chronic homelessness, they're all tied together. It is real. And when I look at these women that never been abused, good for you. It hasn't happened to you yet. I was one of those people. I never thought I would ever be on this end of it. I had one incident happen to me at 15 years old. Thank God no one ever physically, sexually abused me. Okay? But I did have one incident, or actually two, but one that I can remember quite clearly. No, I cannot be around a man that ever laid a hand on a woman. He never, ever had any business forcefully grabbing me. No one ever has a reason to touch anybody. Keep your hands to yourself. That is what we've been taught. That's what you're taught. Keep your hands to yourself. Do not touch that person. And nowadays, you can end up being accused of sexual harassment. It's that real. There's a real abuse going on. Okay, I'm not. Some people talk about frivolous lawsuits. I'm not here to get into all that. I'm saying you just keep your hands to yourself. If you have a consensual relationship and you're dating, that's a whole different story. That's two adults making a decision to date and be together. That's one thing. I need to tell you about my first boyfriend in high school because I think it's important. We were harassed on a regular basis from the time we met. And the reason I broke up with him is because I was scared. I was scared that they were going to continue to harass him and me. And the harassment didn't stop. When I broke up with him, it was because I didn't want him to be harassed. They would hide his keys, make fun of him, make jokes. And it got to the point where I had to break up with him. And I haven't talked to Scott since, I don't know, like 1999. But they harassed him and they continued to harass me on a regular basis. I haven't talked to my ex-boyfriends. A lot of my ex-boyfriends were harassed or treated wrong. Okay? I know that my parents aren't perfect by no stretch, but I don't recall ever having a boyfriend or somebody I dated that didn't have problems with certain people. I had another boyfriend that I had dated when I was in the Army. He wasn't treated right, and I didn't really understand what happened, but he went out of his way to get to see me, and it's really sad, but again, it didn't stop. Harassment was a way of life. If they were going to harass me, they're going to harass everybody around me. So I would not have friends or family. And they made sure that I would look bad. Harassing me on a regular basis. It was a norm. In fact, the last time it happened was April 11th, 2016. And I overheard a conversation where my mom was talking about how I was overweight, but I had just gotten diagnosed with a mass. And she made all kinds of comments that I had eaten everybody under the table and, all this stuff. Meanwhile, the reason I had eating problems is because of my adrenal. It messes up your hormonal. It tells your brain to eat all the time. And instead of her showing a little kindness and compassion or getting their get well card or anything like that, she was busy making fun of me, making jokes about my weight. And this happened on a regular basis, talking about what kind of clothes we wore. We didn't even have clothes. My brother one time said that, well, you're parading around in your BDUs. I didn't have any clothes to wear. That was all I had in my closet because all my clothes ended up lost in the luggage during a flight from U.S. Air to Pittsburgh. I had to get home. It was right before my dad died. I was made fun of, made jokes. I was treated like a hideous animal. So if you see pictures of me, I looked hideous. That's because I was tormented every day, made fun of, spit on, joked about, laughed at, pushed, punched, broken noses, fractured noses, strangled on a regular basis for over 10, 15 years. Made fun of. I asked for my alimony and I didn't get anywhere with that, and I didn't get anywhere with anyone. In fact, I ended up calling these shelters and they were limited on time, and they told me, well, we're sorry, we can't help you, or you go to a Salvation Army. And they said, well, we can give you like a groceries. They gave me all this bread. I can't even eat bread. So, you know what I mean? No one really looks at what victims need and as far as help and, supplies. A lot of people say, well, it's too bad. We got to go do our own thing. We got to go to an important event. We got families to see. We got a family party. So we'll talk to you later. And I was like, I don't know how people go to bed. They just go off to the next thing. Oh, we got to go to this event. We have plans with our kids. And, right now we're a little too busy. We're a little too busy to recognize that maybe you need some food and groceries. I'm sorry, but we have to go somewhere. I'm sorry, I have to get somewhere. I have like somewhere to go, and I'm important. This is what I've lived with. It's my brother and his sister, and his wife, who sat there, and they're over there at the gymnastics event while my sister and I are being physically abused on a regular basis. But they don't have time. This is what the reality is. Okay? I'm not making fun of the fact, but this is what you see. I heard on the phone, well, there isn't enough welfare benefits. I'm sorry. Well, you might have to go to another church to get that rent paid for or that electric bill paid for. I'm sorry that you were abused. That's not real. This is real. This is what you hear. So when we asked you guys that we're doing fundraising, you're actually helping these people because you want to. You're giving money because you want to. You're not helping any of us, and pure advocacy is serious. Okay? It's the one thing that I know, one thing I can tell you, when somebody says money, they're here. And they're going to get coffee, and they're going to have right clothes, because we at least are connected with a church that isn't too busy to give you a few minutes of their time. Because all you can do is give somebody your time. And no, I don't know that I can have time with people that sit there and, just casually ignore what's going on around us. Oh, I'm sorry, you're very busy. We know you have an important event. You got to go out with your friends, and we got to pretend that this didn't happen. And just because she looks like trash, you trash that girl, trash her. And I promise you one day, status means nothing to me. Your status and who you are, and if you look good for you. Well, that girl is beaten up and broken. How a family ignores abuse, I don't know. Because they don't want to look at that. That makes them look bad. Okay? It's all about impressing each other, right? I'm embarrassed that I'm related to people like that. I'm embarrassed that I ever had to sit there and watch it one day. I'm sitting there with my U-Haul. I spent $1,600 to move back here just to endure more abuse. And they're sitting there talking to a neighbor, and my sister-in-law just doesn't even acknowledge that I'm there. It happened at my job. It happens at work. It happens everywhere. It happens at families. It's real. That's why you talk about it. Be as open and honest as you can about it, too. I know it's very hard, but the reality is it won't stop until you talk about it. This is the difference. At least now I know that there are going to be people that will help us because they want to, not because they're looking at what you spent. They're not going to ask you for receipts. We're giving you money when we have it. I'm not going to sit here and ask you what you did with that money. I'm hoping and praying. When we help somebody that they'll take their kids out, get some gas in your car, go out to eat, go do something, buy yourself a pack of cigarettes, whatever. But just go out and I'm not encouraging people to buy cigarettes, but I know people do it. The churches are like, well, we can't be supporting people's habits. Hey, you know what? That you're supporting an abuse victim is that's the prime. Don't help anybody. That's my deal. Don't help anybody. That way you can't be accused of criticizing how the money's spent. Because I'm not sitting here worried about the budget. I know God provides, and He has, and He will. I'm asking you guys to help us. Why do I ask you guys to help us? So that my sister doesn't have to go back to that kind of abuse. So I don't have to live starving and not getting medical attention when we need it. We ask you guys to support peer advocacy because that is our reality. It is our reality. Yes, we reach out to detectives. Yes, we reach out to cops. Yes, we reach out. And some of these officers will tell you the same thing. I've been to your address 20 different times. I know you've been abused. And the officers will be the ones, I wish we could help you. But you have to go get that PFA. That's what we were told. And we did. There are always two sides of the story. I get it. Nobody wants to be dragged into it. No one ever wants to. But it's how people respond to domestic violence. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as the state representatives offer more financial support, yes, you can have a crime victims assistant available to you, but some of that assistance is not going to be given to you. And that's why we're going to the representatives and we're talking to each one of them. How is it that you are given crime assistance and these people are starving without a home and they can't pay the electric bill? They're still surviving abuse. How is this possible? So I hope they do audit these programs. I hope they audit every foster care program if you have a 501c3, because we need to know if those people are getting their allotment and money. because they have to get groceries, they have to get clothes, they need the basic needs met. And if we can't get the basic needs met, or get the electric bill paid or whatever, that's what it comes down to. And a lot of these agencies want to help. They'll tell you. I talk to the social workers. It's not that we can't help. That money is not given to them. And then you look at what's going on in the Pennsylvania budget, and they're going to keep increasing the taxes, but somehow these programs don't have enough money to help what the whole reason they use the taxes for. Or is it that way? See, in Pennsylvania, that's a reality. Look at the budget. Where's that money going to? Why is it not going to these abuse survivors and these agencies and these programs? Well, that's why we're telling you, wake up. Ask the questions. I'm surprised there aren't more people over there in Harrisburg asking why these agencies, and here locally, it's Cornerstone, some of the other programs that do pay the rent. They pay the bills for abuse victims and people that are getting off the street. And yes, we are veteran supported, and we work with people like this every day. Advocacy, working together, talking to people about the reality of abuse in our neighborhood here in Beaver County. I cannot stand watching it one day. I cannot stand when somebody's homeless and doesn't have anything. And some people choose to be homeless, but there's some people, it's out of the control. And thank God that some of you learned to reach out to somebody in a time of need, because I know it's making a difference. No, I cannot change the views and opinions. I would hope by now that they're a little bit beyond the point of criticizing a victim. I really hope at some point that they get there. Maybe they won't. But instead of pulling out your calculator and asking where they spent their money, keep your money. Don't help. Don't help any of us. The people that want to help will help. I don't want anybody who's going to sit there and critique every little penny where it's spent. You know what? Don't help us. Please. I don't want to be in a situation where we have to be held accountable for how money is spent because they don't even trust us to begin with. That's not the why you help people. You help them because you want to. You help them out of love and concern for others. I've seen people pull out their calculator. I'm like, hey, wait a second, dude. I don't want anything from you. That sends the wrong message. And believe me, there are people that mean well, and there are some people, they're just morons. They go take their calculator, go spend their money, go do something else. We don't want that kind of help. I promise you. They can help somebody else. And that's and because they don't respect what happens to people that have been survivors, but these people have been abuse survivors themselves. I'm not quite sure how you go from that to that. I don't know. Maybe you forgot. Don't forget where you came from. Don't forget what you've been through. Reach out to others, help others, be supportive, be kind to others. It'll always come back for you. Kindness is amazing. It's contagious. Smile. It's contagious. I don't smile a lot, I'll be honest with you, because I live with this every day, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of watching my property destroyed because somebody is abusive, stealing or ruining my property on purpose, not because the property is stolen, but doing it deliberately. I'm tired of it because the stuff is not the reason. It's the motives and agenda behind it. It's the heart and the actions of another person. I'm outraged that anyone got away with it. We are outspoken. Yes, we are. We're stopping it. We're going to expose abuse that happen around us on a regular basis. Till these people get to the point where they apologize. They should be embarrassed. Did they not have a conscience? I don't know. Do they have a conscience? I don't think so. Not when you're taking somebody's couch or living room furniture and purposely destroying it. Property damage. Because they want to be spiteful and vindictive. And that vindictive crap, I'm sure a lot of you can share some stories about how really ruthless and vindictive people are. So we're not going to sit here and pretend that this doesn't exist. In fact, I'm sure some of you got comments in your comment section about how vindictive and ruthless people are in emails. I was looking at my one of the comments. This guy was talking to me about wanted me to send me porn videos just to insult and humiliate me. I know that's a regular way. That's a way of life. That's what I mean. And you should read go back to some of my YouTube channels and how this guy repeatedly put videos of pornography on my comment section just to be a jackass. That's what we deal with. So I'm going to wrap it up here for the Court of Public Opinion because I have to blurt it out. I'm so sorry. But I got to tell you the ugly side of it. We're not pretending like we do everything perfect, but the scumbags, at the bus stop to wherever we go. This guy, me and these girls were at the bus stop, and he pulls out his penis pump and starts jacking off right in front of us at the bus stop. You know, it's one thing to have a boyfriend. It's another thing to see that. And the guy was, it was just outrageous. It's happened on a regular basis. Like, you know, was that police officer pulled up next to me as I was walking down the street and says, "Do you want to have a little fun on this side?" Right? I was going to work. I was coming back from the grocery store. My dad was wondering what I was. I went and grabbed a Pepsi, and as I was coming home, the officer, I hope he's not an officer anymore, honestly, or the chief of police. When it's a lot of this happening. The chief of police son, he can have sex with anybody because he's the son of the chief of police, or they get the girls drunk, whatever, date rape drug. It's on and on. It's not the first time you've heard it. It's probably not the last. But the attitudes and opinions, oh yeah, it's you. You did it. You're the reason. Well, that's not always the case. So, you know, I have met a lot of great police officers that have my back, thank God, and they may have saved my life. And when I heard the report of Officer Bascom, it's a common story. How many officers repeatedly go to that one home, and that one day, the story changes altogether. So we ask you to support us.